Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Street of Silence. My name is Mark, and I'll be your host today. Our channel explores the unknown and looks at a variety of unexplained topics, such as UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, and other mysterious phenomena. Today, we're going to be discussing the Smiley Face Killer Theory and how it came about. So, for nearly the last 30 years, two retired New York Police Department detectives, Kevin Gannon and Anthony Duarte, believe that a series of coincidental drownings that have occurred throughout the country are the result of a group of organized serial killers. So, how do the smiley face killers operate? It is believed that a nationwide network of serial killers drug young men out at a bar or a party, and once they become dulled enough, they would then abduct them, hold them, and torture the victims before finally killing the men and dumping their bodies in the water. The theory begins in 1997 with the death of college student Patrick McNeil. McNeil was drowned in New York City. McNeil drowned in New York City. McNeil's death was ruled accidental and due to alcohol intoxication. Gannon and Duarte disagreed with this finding, though. They examined the autopsy report, the crime scene photos, and soon later recruited Dr. Lee Gilbertson from St. Cloud University. The three began looking into the case and would soon start looking into other cases as well. Soon they began tracking the suspicious drowning deaths of these young men across the United States. Victims were typically white, athletic, and in college. These deaths had appeared in multiple cities, from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. They tended to also appear along the I-95 corridor, which passes through Michigan to Montana. The term smiley face was coined when the team revealed that they discovered graffiti drawings with a smiley face on at least 24 locations in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Iowa. Although the paint color, size, and styles of the faces varied, the team was sure it was the killer's signature. They believed that the killers were claiming responsibility through the smiley face. The detectives theorized the killings are motivated by jealousy and that a coordinated effort is being made from these men after these men. Several cases give support to the smiley face theory. For example, on the night of October 8th, 2009, in Boston, Massachusetts, William Hurley called his girlfriend, Claire Mahoney, to come pick him up as he was ready to go home. William, a groundskeeper, was attending a Boston Bruins hockey game and wanted to go home early as he was tired. While on the phone, William warned his cell phone battery was dying. Claire asked for his exact location and was given 99 Nashua Street, but soon the line went dead. Just a few minutes later, Claire arrived at the address and found William was nowhere to be found. Around a week later, his body was found in the Charles River, and suspiciously, the cell phone was smashed close by. His death was ruled a drowning, and police stated that they found no evidence of foul play. Still, there were doubts in the community, and especially by people who were close to William, like Claire. They note several key things, such as evidence of blunt force trauma, as well as a toxicology report that found high levels of GHB, which is commonly used as a date rape drug. In 2008, the detectives went public with their findings, and they claimed to have identified more than 40 potential murderers that could be the smiley face killers. The national media quickly picked up on the story. In the years that have followed, the group has found additional physical evidence. Also, and probably most importantly, they expanded their database of potential victims on the smiley face killers. It's currently around 350 cases and growing. It's important to remember that much of this evidence is not circumstantial. For example, and very importantly, is the decomposition timelines. The lack of decomposition on the bodies is inconsistent with the time period that the victims are missing. So, for example, Dakota James, who was missing for 40 days, showed decomposition of only around 3 days. Another example is Todd Geep, who was missing for 21 days, but showed decomposition of only around 2.5 days. This leads the team to believe that the individuals are being abducted, tortured, and then finally their body is disposed of at a later period. The team goes on to state that the presence of land insects, lividity patterns, and the lack of bloating associated with many of the bodies suggests that the victims died on the land, not in the water. Astoundingly, the detectives also point to the occurrence of GHB, the date rape drug, and this occurred in 99.9% of their cases. GHB isn't typically included on postmortem toxicology tests, but many of the families of suspected smiley face victims either requested that the coroner test it or that they send samples to the team. With all this evidence, the team believes this forensic evidence shows that the victims were drugged before they were abducted, then killed, and eventually placed into the water. With the similarities in victim profile and circumstances around their disappearance and death, they also point to 13 symbols that they found in common. The most famous of these is the smiley face graffiti located near the crime scenes. Still, not everyone is convinced that there is something fishy going on here with these cases. Local police are hesitant to reopen many of the cases, and the FBI has stated that they have found no connection. Skeptics also point out the variation in smiley faces at the scenes. The smiley faces appear to be random and where they are placed around the scene of the crime, and there's quite a bit of variation for where they could be. Critics also point out that cold water can preserve a body, and this could delay the decomposition. Still, many detectives and other individuals within law enforcement tend to agree that there's some issue going on with these cases. One of the main goals of the team is to have these cases reclassified from an accidental drowning due to intoxication and to classify it to homicide. Perhaps the key piece of evidence is the presence of GHB in so many of the victims. There doesn't appear to be a convincing rebuttal to that piece of hard forensic evidence. And this raises some questions. For example, how did the killers know GHB is not checked in a standard toxicology screen post-mortem? It leads many to believe that these must have been planned and the individuals carrying them out were knowledgeable of that. Also, why were only drunk people targeted? And also, they were usually found in the lakes or rivers. It appears the killers were targeting people who were under the influence. In many of the cases, people disappeared without anyone seeing them. Were the intoxicated men lured away by a female? Perhaps one day someone will know something and come forward with this knowledge. Or perhaps the killer will slip up and be caught. As always, thank you for your time, and if you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing to the channel, and we welcome all feedback and story suggestions.